algorithms. So there are a lot of different levels where the choice between good and bad, different perspectives, play an important role. So when you go to ChatGPT or the new Chinese one, it doesn't matter. Ask them a question. This algorithm will have a look in their database, and already the question, how you put the question, is determining how the machine will then look in their database. But also it's important which kind of database they can access. And then we come to the first basic of bias of the artificial intelligence. If you have a database which is composed of 99% information input, let's say from Vanuatu in the Pacific, the answer you will get out will be based on 99% Vanuatu data. Unfortunately, Vanuatu will not put 99% of data into a database, but they will come from, let's say, a handful of countries, from the European Union, from America, Canada, China, perhaps India. Yeah? Have you ever heard from South Africa producing data? Have you ever heard from Sierra Leone putting data? So when you want to know something, let's say about, Sierra Leone in the 15th and the 17th century, where you will get the data from? Perhaps from the British Museum, from the British Library, from some studies done a couple of years ago in the US, but you will never get them from Sierra Leone. So all the information you get out of this kind of research done by artificial intelligence will be based on data. We have discussed during the workshop about the gender bias. Why? Because still about 80 to 85% of all data are done by male and are used by male. So the male perspective is practically non-existent. And we have an example which was shocking. If you enter, just provide an artificial image of an international negotiation, just this simple question, you will have a table of people of 90% of pale colors, so practically no less, and most of the time no female. So if you want to change it, so even if you today ask them on, let's say, gender questions, most of the time we will get biased questions. So we have to think about how we use this artificial intelligence best. And it's not only true for questions about socioeconomic, in the socioeconomic field, in political field, it's also true in medicine, in chemistry, or whatsoever. If you don't have data that says about tropical agriculture, you will not get a result which is adapted to tropical agriculture. So, wherever you look, you have to have in mind that the result of a research done by machinery is not better than the input of data done by people you don't know, whose interests you don't know, and who are perhaps have an interest to bias you. And just after the new Chinese artificial machine comes up, they put a lot of questions to tests. And interestingly, it wasn't answering about what happened at Tiananmen. They were not answering on the question of Taiwan. They are answering on a couple of political questions only from a Chinese perspective. I think this. So, knowing all this, UNESCO brought forward some basic ethics which should be respected when you set up artificial models. And I think it's very much important. The first values they ask us to respect is the protection and promotion of human rights, fundamental freedoms, human data. And I think this is one of the most important things, that when we use artificial intelligence, we have to have ethics standards which protect our being together, our working together, us as a human kind. Ensuring diversity and inclusiveness is absolutely necessary, and I think this is where Germany stands for, where my country actually aims to get societies to be diverse, be equal, to treat everybody alike. I think this is the most important thing, and this is actually starting, and that's what we're talking about, is on the basis of programming. When we do the first programming, when we do the choice algorithms, and when we do, of course, the choice of databases. And when we know that the databases you are accessing is not complete, but then you have to look how this could be improved. And that will come to something which I think is on the way for Africa to get this real position in the globe. So absolutely necessary is to bring more information about Africa, about African phenomena into these databases. So whenever you use ChatGPT or equally other databases, what is absolutely necessary when the answer is not convincing, correct them. Because what is most important and most different from algorithm to normal calculators is they learn. And when you tell them, no, your answer is not correct or it's biased because of, the machine will then take this into consideration. If it's only one voice, it will ignore it. If it's 10, it will still perhaps move a little bit. But when you have hundreds and thousands coming in with the same data, it will have an effect. So this is most important. And then we come to something that I think is very much interesting for Sierra Leone when we go to the preparation, for example, for the new population census next year. These information will take up data which are already completely outdated, which were accurate perhaps a decade ago. So without this new data, when you ask them Sierra Leone, we get completely wrong images. When you think still about Freetown being a small city, why it has doubled in population in the last decade, or when the movement of population has completely changed, all this data are so important, or when you have medical data, or when you have social economic data, all this, we just see that the public accounts of Sierra Leone have been updated. And what has come out? The GDP has doubled, the revenues of the state has percentage-wise dropped to less than 8%. And all these kind of things, updated data, changes out. Which is also value. UNESCO want to protect the environment as an ecosystem. But for doing this, artificial intelligence, when you need, let's say, give us the status of the rainforest in Sierra Leone, well, all data will be outdated because there is no accurate data on today's rainforest presence. And we have seen yesterday, WFP presented the new study of land grabbing on the Western Peninsula, and another 700 hectares have just disappeared. So if it continues, the time we have until Freetown without water is from coming down from a decade down to 9.5 years and so on. So I will not be here in 2035 when there will be no water for Freetonians, but I guess out of this audience, all those who are not expats will still be here, and for their families there will nothing be to drink. Will be a very important question. Another value, living in a peaceful, just, and interconnected society. To maintain peace, we need information. We have all what are called fake news. And how important it is to get information based on facts and not on opinions. We are about to enter into a period where opinions are governing our existence much more than facts. Why? Because through all the wonderful social media, nobody is able to identify what has really happened. Everybody is going there and having new ideas on, hey, and we did this. And then you have a film which has been modified by artificial intelligence, because we all have seen these wonderful photographs where you can ask the Pope running 100-meter competition, or I don't know, King Charles boxing in a sea of blood. Put it in, you get it out. And then, is this reality? Is it false? So, what we need for artificial intelligence also is to verify these things. And you have 100 million followers to account of one single person who just talks nonsense, and unfortunately a couple of them these days, everywhere on the globe, it becomes a very, very challenging thing. And about peace, how easy is it to convince societies about the wrongdoing of some neighbors when you don't have, and you do not have any possibility to change, to verify what really happened. I think I leave it here. I leave this 48 pages of UNESCO paper here as well, so that everyone wants to have a catch and do a snap. It was just a small introduction into what AI is about and what we have to think about when we are working